Well, a very different looking set of fixtures for Nottingham Forest this season. Back in the big time for the first time in 23 years. It all starts away at Newcastle on the opening weekend. And look at that in August as well. 2 games in 4 days, at home to Tottenham and away to the champions Manchester City. Let's speak to a former European Cup winner with Forest. Garry Birtles joins us live. Garry, good morning. That's a shirt worthy of being back in the Premier League, I have to say. Listen, it always annoys me when people say, oh, this team should be in the Premier League because you have to earn your place. But it feels right looking at Forest games at Anfield and at Old Trafford and at Stamford Bridge again, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Nobody's a divine right to be in any division, but the work that Steve Cooper and the owner, Mr. Marinakis, and everybody concerned with the club have done to get us there has been absolutely magnificent. And yeah, you look at the start of the season, the fixtures we have. You mentioned Newcastle away and West Ham at home. People think, well, they're decent games, but you have to say what a magnificent job Eddie Howe did and David Moyes at West Ham. In contention at the top of the league, looked like Newcastle were going nowhere, and Eddie Howe got them out of trouble. So there's no easy game in the Premier League whatsoever.
You're right, there is no easy game in the Premier League, but you look at the first 5 home games: West Ham, Spurs, Bournemouth, Fulham, Villa. There's an opportunity to get some points on the board early on, isn't it?
Yeah, without doubt, that's what you've got to look for. And, preparation is paramount, and you can guarantee that Steve Cooper will be in the process of doing that already. And, it wouldn't surprise me to see if we got a decent start. I think you have to look to previous seasons and how the previous teams who went up from the Championship fared in their first couple of seasons. I think Brentford did remarkably well, and if you can put your stamp on it and look what other teams have done to maintain their Premier League status, then I think that's a good thing. And Steve leaves nothing to chance. I've been able to watch them train, the way he takes the sessions all himself. It's very, very professional, and as a Forest fan and ex-player, I can't wait for next season to start.
Yeah, you talked there about promoted clubs putting their stamp on the Premier League. Gary, Steve Cooper certainly has put his stamp on that football club since he's arrived, hasn't he? Not just on the pitch, but the way he's been off the pitch, the way he's interacted with you guys who had such great success in years gone by as well.
Well, that's the first thing he did. He came and asked if we could come out and meet him and the backroom staff, and we had a couple of hours, a couple of drinks, and he was so interested in the history of the club, how we went about doing things under Brian Clough. And he's maintained that. It wasn't just a one-off. He invites us to training. He invites us to most things. We went to the civic reception in the city centre. We met the players after we got back from Wembley. We all came back to Nottingham, and there was a celebration, sort of couple of drinks. And it feels really nice that he wants to embrace the whole football club and the whole city. And he wanted to be the one after Brian Clough to be the successful one. And I can't speak highly enough of him because the way he goes about things is so professional, and he makes everybody inclusive. And there's a massive smile on the city of Nottingham at the moment, and you can't wipe that smile off most people's faces. And yeah, it's been a long time, but everybody's really looking forward to moving forward now.
Yeah, just on that reference there to Mr. Clough, I remember speaking to Steve just as he got the job, actually, and he said, look, I'm not going to shirk away from our history. I want to embrace it. I want the memories of the great European Cup winning teams to be in and around the ground. And I guess that's important psychologically, isn't it, that your manager isn't scared of being measured against the greatest days of a club's history?
Well, certain managers in the past have taken pictures down and things like that, and our team of that generation, we've never done anything to crave fame or anything. We got on with it. We won things. Are we not supposed to have won things? That was the baffling thing about it all. If we were in the background shouting and, trying to be, the big I ams, but that hasn't been the case. And, Steve has come in and just been inclusive with us. And he just wants to, know about the history of the club. He loves the history of the club. He loves the Mull of Kintyre before the game starts. That rings around the city ground. He just loves everything about the club, and it's just great to watch what's happening. And the owner's got to take a great amount of credit here, Mr. Marinakis, because through COVID he was paying the wages still. With no crowds in there. And his belief in, when he first bought the club to take it to where it is now is just been borne out. And, he deserves a big pat on the back for doing that and taking it on.
And obviously a big task now for both Steve Cooper and for Evangelos Marinakis is recruitment. That's key, isn't it? It looks as though Brice Samba is coming towards the end of his Nottingham Forest career. after a fabulous performance in the playoffs last season, it has to be said. Would Dean Henderson be a good replacement, do you think?
I think he would, without a doubt. I feel sorry that Bryce, I can't even pronounce his name, but he's going now because he's been fantastic for the club. Yes, he's had a couple of blips. We all know about that. And Horvath came in and did a really good job. I think it taught Bryce, a bit of a lesson. And I'm surprised he's leaving because, the Premier League is the paramount league in world football. And yeah, but Dean Henderson, what a great, a replacement, and that's the thing, that's the key for me, recruitment. And Steve will be on it already. He'll have his A-list of people he wants. I think desperate for a striker because you need that in the Premier League. If you haven't got that, you're going to struggle without a doubt. And yeah, there are going to be a few players disappointed, as always. When teams come up from the Championship, players are let go. They've done a great job, but are they ready for the Premier League? So it'll be very interesting to see exactly what happens throughout the summer. I mean, we've got a young talent, Brennan Johnson. We saw when he came on for Wales the other day, he was an instant threat, and he plays with no fear at all. And kids of that age do that, and I think they've got big futures in the Premier League. And I just can't wait to see how they handle that, because it's not always easy, because that is the biggest league in the world, and it's not always easy to adapt to it once you've come up from the Championship.
Is recruitment also more difficult from Forest's perspective, given the influence of some of the loan players that you can't be sure you're going to... It doesn't look like Jed Spence is going to come back, but the influence of people like Zinkernagel and Keenan Davis, that those guys who've helped may not be there for the start of next season?
Well, that's when you have to have a plan A, plan B, and even a plan C, maybe. They did a magnificent job for us last season. Keenan Davis coming in, Sam Surridge, the signing, he did magnificent when he came in. Garner has done particularly well, Zinkernagel as well in midfield. But, will we be able to hang on to those? Will they play in the Premier League? Will, Garner be going back to Manchester United? These questions all got to be answered pretty quickly. And I'm sure Steve's got a fair idea of, that situation, and he's taken everything on board. He's got massive support at the football club all around him for the recruitment. So I'm fully confident he's going to get it right, and the football club can move forward. And it's great that it's this generation, a new generation, because it's always been about, the team of, the European Cup winners. And it's just great to see this generation come through, get in the Premier League. And now, let's see them take us forward and hopefully be successful as we can in the Premier League, because it's not going to be easy. I mean, Forest came up before in the first season. They won the Division 1, which is now the Premier League. That will never happen again. But, it happened then, and we'll just have to see how we fare next season. And the FA Cup run that we had last season will help us. We beat Leicester, we beat Arsenal, deservedly so. We're a bit unlucky against Liverpool, lost by the odd goal. So in those particular games, we did really well against Premier League players. So that gives you a good, account of what it's going to be like. And there's nothing to fear for them. Just go out and embrace and enjoy it.
Final question then, Gary, is in terms of aspirations. I'm a generous man, so I'm going to give you 17th place right now. Are you taking it?
I might, but Steve Cooper won't, I don't think. He wants to look beyond that, and rightly so. And he's ambitious. And as I say, I've been able to watch at close quarters, how he goes about things and how he takes training more or less single-handed, and the reaction he gets from players. It's just been, a real eye-opener, and it's been a pleasure to be able to watch that, because the training methods have changed so much over the years, and it's just great to watch how somebody like Steve goes about things and the reaction he does get. And it's so professionally done. I think everything's professionally done at the football club, from the owner right down to the backroom staff and everybody. And that's really good to see, and it can only be beneficial for the future.
Gary, pleasure to speak to you. Thank you very much. Enjoy the sunshine.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.